1976, United States Air Force Academy, Colorado Springs. Cadet James Moshgat sits in his dorm room, reading a book on World War II combat actions. He reaches a chapter on the Italian campaign, scans a casualty list, then freezes. His voice cuts through the silence. Holy cow, I think our janitor is a Medal of Honor recipient. The janitor's name is William Crawford. Mr. Crawford, the cadets call him. Shy, almost painfully shy, rarely speaks unless spoken to first. He pushes a mop cart through the dormitory halls, empties trash bins, scrubs toilets. He is 70 years old, invisible, unremarkable. But on September 13th, 1943, 33 years before this discovery, Private William Crawford accomplished something that military doctrine said was tactically impossible. Alone, armed with 3 Mark II grenades and an M1 Garand rifle, he destroyed 3 German MG-34 machine gun nests that an entire rifle company had failed to neutralize. The tactical problem: a volcanic hill near Altavilla, Italy, designated Hill 424. The defensive position: 3 MG-34 crews positioned on terrace slopes, creating interlocking fields of fire. The distance: 150 yards of completely open ground. The solution: 51 minutes of crawling, 3 grenades, 12 rifle rounds. Here is what the after-action report does not explain: how a man survives when he should not, how he moves through a kill zone designed to prevent exactly what he accomplished, how he violates every assumption the enemy based their defense upon. Today, West Point teaches his action as a case study in close-quarters combat and small unit tactics. Quantico includes it in infantry officer training. Military academies across the world analyze the sequence frame by frame. But there is a second story, darker than the first. Crawford received the Medal of Honor in 1944. The ceremony was posthumous. His father accepted the medal because the Army listed William Crawford as presumed dead. He was not dead. He was alive in Stalag 7A, a German prisoner of war camp in Bavaria, completely unaware that he had been honored. For 40 years after the war, he remained invisible, working as a janitor while cadets studied his actions in textbooks, then passed him in the halls without recognition. The injustice was not that he went unrecognized. The injustice was systematic, institutional, almost biblical in its cruelty. This is the story of how one man changed the course of a battle, how the system failed him for 4 decades, and how a book in a dorm room finally brought him back from the dead. Pueblo, Colorado, 1918 through 1942. The city had prospered in the 1920s, steel mills and coal mines generating payrolls exceeding $2 million per month. Then the Depression hit, the mills slowed, the mines closed, the money stopped. William John Crawford was born May 19, 1918, into this decline. His father, George Hilbert Crawford, worked in unskilled transportation occupations, trucking, loading, whatever paid. The family nested in the working class, not destitute but never comfortable, always one paycheck from the edge. Young Crawford grew up in a community of rural and industrial laborers in a region economically vulnerable. Pueblo would generate, curiously, 4 Medal of Honor recipients during World War II: Crawford, Jerry Murphy, Colonel Sitter, Drew Dix. This suggests a culture of determination and sacrifice emanating from that specific community, a place where duty outweighed glory, where men did what was necessary without expectation of recognition. Crawford cultivated 2 skill sets that would remain dormant until September 1943. First, boxing. He learned to fight in Pueblo from childhood, developing discipline, courage under pressure, the capacity to remain resolute when attacked. Boxing did not make him an exceptional fighter, but it trained him in the art of maintaining calm under extreme stress, a skill that would prove invaluable on Hill 424. Second, hunting and stalking. The forests of San Isabel National Forest, near Pueblo, offered Crawford an informal education in primitive infiltration techniques. Deer stalking in open country requires exactly what Crawford would need on that September morning: the ability to read topography, deliberate and slow movements, scent masking, extreme patience. Every principle of hunting would translate directly into infiltration tactics. When Crawford enlisted in 1942, a sergeant described him as lacking tactical imagination. He became a private, designated as Squad Scout in 3rd Platoon, Company I, 3rd Battalion, 142nd Infantry Regiment, 36th Infantry Division. Nothing in his record suggested he would be capable of exceptional heroic action. He was unremarkable, invisible, exactly the kind of soldier officers overlook when planning complex operations. September 9th, 1943, 0300 hours, Gulf of Salerno, Italy. The 36th Infantry Division hits the beach as part of Operation Avalanche, the invasion of the Italian mainland. Across the beachhead, the German 16th Panzer Division waits. Commanded by Hermann Balck within the 14th Panzer Corps, the Germans have positioned 35 tanks, 163 assault guns, 292 additional armored vehicles. The command is competent, the position is strong. The Germans have had 4 days to prepare devastating counterattacks. By September 13th, the situation at Salerno is critical. The 36th Division holds a defensive line of 35 miles, 6 times the length a full division should defend. The German Air Force still has the capacity to bomb. The possibility of expulsion from the beach is real. General Mark Clark, commanding 5th Army, faces the nightmare scenario. Total failure of the Italian invasion. Hundreds of thousands of Allied troops pushed back into the sea. The war extended by months or years. The technological villain in this nightmare is the MG-34, the world's first general-purpose machine gun. Rate of fire, approximately 900 rounds per minute in battle mode. Effective range, 850 yards. Barrels that can be swapped in seconds for indefinite sustained fire. Accuracy, excellent. When positioned on elevated terraces with crossed fields of fire, it is practically impenetrable to attacking infantry. The M1 Garand rifle, standard issue for American infantry, has an effective range of 500 yards, useless against an MG-34 crew entrenched at 850 yards with overhead cover. Hill 424 near Altavilla is a volcanic hill with steep slopes, no cover, defended by 3 MG-34 nests positioned on terraces creating interlocking fields of fire. Company I of the 36th Division is assigned to capture it. An entire rifle company has already failed. Each frontal assault results in immediate casualties. The problem is orthodox for 1943 but lethal. Standard doctrine cannot solve it. 0500 hours, September 13th. Company I reaches the crest of Hill 424, immediately pinned by crossfire. Soldiers are nailed to the ground, unable to move, bleeding, dying. No cover, no artillery support, no reserves. Every attempt at movement results in death. The platoon is fixed, immobile, facing annihilation. Here is the cascade of consequences. 3 levels of catastrophe. Level 1. If the platoon remains fixed, it will suffer continuous casualties until annihilation or mandatory withdrawal. Hill 424 will not be captured. Level 2. If Hill 424 is not captured, the 36th Division will not deepen its beachhead. Territorial gains will be reversed. The Germans will maintain the heights, controlling the approach to the interior. Level 3, the maximum. The 36th Division at Salerno occupies a critical beachhead position, waiting to link with Montgomery's 8th British Army to the south. If the beachhead does not deepen, the German Air Force can concentrate bombing. The possibility of expulsion from the beach exists. Failure at Salerno would have cascading impact on the entire Italian campaign, potentially delaying the liberation of Italy by months or more. The Second World War would be extended. The lives of hundreds of thousands would be sacrificed. Crawford's platoon is pinned on that crest, men dying, the situation impossible. Standard tactics fail for clear reasons. Frontal assault equals immediate death under 900 rounds per minute. Flanking maneuvers are impossible due to the geometry of the terraces. Suppressive fire is useless because the MG-34 has swappable barrels, sustainable fire indefinitely. Artillery support is not available locally. The doctrine is clear, the execution is impossible. The outcome is certain, death. The MG-34 in terrace position functions as a horizontal steel curtain. The distance of 850 yards renders M1 Garand rifles useless. The elevated position eliminates natural cover. The German defensive doctrine of 1943 assumes attacking infantry will have artillery or aviation support. The idea of a single man, alone, crawling 51 minutes through open ground to fight at grenade range, is tactically unthinkable according to German manuals. It was never planned for defensively because it was rationally impossible. 0517 hours. Lieutenant Morrison orders Crawford not to advance. The order is clear. The platoon has lost its previous attempt. There is no reason to sacrifice more men. Crawford advances anyway. Not from bravado, the narrative is consistent in his humility, but from rational calculation. The platoon will die if it remains fixed. Death is certain either way. The only variable is whether there will be a possibility of action that saves lives. This is not heroism. This is mathematics, cold calculus under extreme pressure. Crawford uses exactly the techniques learned in San Isabel National Forest: reading topography, deliberate slow movements, scent masking with mud, extreme patience, measured breathing to avoid creating perceptible movement. Distance to traverse: 150 yards of completely exposed terrain. Total time: 51 minutes of continuous progression. Speed: approximately 3 yards per minute, slower than normal human crawling. Final distance: less than 4 yards from German positions. Every movement is calculated to remain below the threshold of visual detection. The mud on his uniform masks both silhouette and human odor. Each breath is measured to avoid creating perceptible movement. He is doing what deer hunters do in open country, translating hunting principles directly into infiltration tactics. The Germans are focused on horizontal fields of fire, not on threats less than 4 yards away. Crawford violates the perceptual expectations of the enemy. First nest, front terrace. Crawford advances to within a few yards, throws one Mark II grenade. Result: destroys machine gun, kills 3 crew members. The platoon finally reaches the crest after the first nest is silenced, but immediately pinned again by the other 2 nests. Second and third nests, upper terrace in ravine. Crawford works his way under continuous fire, positions himself between 2 nests. A maneuver that should result in crossfire death, but does not. First grenade: destroys nest on the left, kills crew. Second grenade: forces third nest to abandon position. He captures the abandoned German MG-34 machine gun, opens fire on retreating Germans. The Mark II grenade has effective blast radius within 10 to 15 yards. Crawford's final distance of less than 4 yards places him inside the destruction radius. A well-placed grenade is sufficient to neutralize a machine gun position. But here lies the technical miracle. The MG-34s were positioned for positional defense, for continuous and horizontal fields of fire, not positioned to defend against close-range infiltration. Crawford violated the tactical assumptions of the adversary. He did exactly what no one expected because it was rationally impossible, and therefore never defensively planned for. Result: German defense collapses locally. For the first time in that sector, the powerful defense is rendered useless. The tactical reversal is complete. Hill 424 falls. The hill that an entire company could not capture is taken by one man. But the story does not end with victory. It ends with injustice, systematic, institutional, biblical in its cruelty. First Injustice, 1943. After the action, Crawford is captured by German forces while helping a wounded soldier. Listed as presumed dead, his body never found because he is alive in a prisoner of war camp. Second Injustice, 1944. The Medal of Honor is approved, presented posthumously to his father in official ceremony. Crawford is alive in Stalag 7A, completely unaware he has received the highest military honor of the United States. He remains in captivity for 20 months until spring 1945 when he is liberated, never knowing while a prisoner that he has been honored. Third Injustice, 1945 through 1976, 31 years of invisibility. After the war, Crawford marries Eileen Bruce on January 13, 1946, re-enlists in the Army in 1947, serves for 23 years, retires in 1967 with the rank of Master Sergeant, accepts a job as janitor at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. For the next 17 years, no one knows who Crawford is. He is known only as Mr. Crawford, the janitor. Cadets know him as a marginal figure, humble, always cleaning. The description from one cadet is disturbing. William Crawford was an unimpressive figure. Mr. Crawford was our squadron janitor. He was shy, almost painfully shy, rarely speaking to any cadet unless addressed first. Fourth Injustice, 1976, The Accidental Discovery. Cadet James Moshgat is reading a book on World War II, finds the story of Private William Crawford, Medal of Honor, September 13, 1943. Moshgat exclaims to his roommate, "Holy cow, I think our janitor is a Medal of Honor recipient." When cadets ask Crawford if it is him, Crawford responds, "Yep, that's me. That was one day in my life, and it happened a long time ago." Fifth Injustice, 1984, 41 years after the action. Crawford has never received the Medal of Honor from the hands of a president. His father received the citation in ceremony in 1944. Crawford has remained invisible for decades. Only in 1984, during the Air Force Academy's annual commendation, does President Ronald Reagan personally present the Medal of Honor to William Crawford. The ceremony occurs on the campus where Crawford works as a janitor. The cadets who knew him as a cleaner now see him receive the maximum honor from the hands of the President of the United States. The capture of Hill 424 allowed the 36th Division to deepen its beachhead. Bought critical time, the division expanded its position to 35 to 45 miles of coastline, linked with the British 10th Corps on the 16th, prevented the German Air Force from concentrating bombing on the vulnerable beachhead. Crawford's action, on a microscopic scale, preserved the Italian invasion operation. The tactical reversal was complete, from strong defense to local defeat. But the legacy is threefold. Tactical, neutralized an obstacle that had rendered an entire rifle company useless. Strategic, allowed beachhead deepening, preserved Operation Avalanche. Doctrinal, West Point, Quantico, military academies globally teach Hill 424 as a case study in close quarters combat, individual initiative, small unit tactics, violation of enemy assumptions. Crawford did not create these principles, but he exemplified them so purely that they became Western military doctrine. The ultimate irony, Crawford worked 40 years cleaning the corridors of the institution that taught his action. He died March 15, 2000, at age 81 in his residence at Palmer Lake, Colorado. He is the only Army private buried in the United States Air Force Academy Cemetery, an honor appropriate for the man whose actions define the academy where he worked. His story remains a study in how history is made, not by heroes seen on stage, but by invisible men who do the necessary work when no one is watching. How many other invisible heroes exist around us, pushing mop carts, emptying trash bins, scrubbing toilets, carrying within them actions that change the world? How many janitors are Medal of Honor recipients? How many ordinary men have done the extraordinary? and return to silence. Crawford's story answers these questions with uncomfortable precision. More than we know, more than we recognize, more than we will ever think. The heroism is not in the recognition, the heroism is in the work, done when no one is watching, remembered by few, honored by fewer, forgotten by most. That is the invisible heroism of ordinary men, the kind that changes wars, the kind that we walk past every day without seeing.